From Sana'a to Tel Aviv, a missile's fiery trail shattered skies, escalating Mideast tensions. The Houthi strike on Ben Gurion airport hours before Israel's Gaza war vote halted flights, testing Netanyahu's resolve. As drone and missile attacks from Yemen persist, Tel Aviv vows retaliation while Washington weighs deeper intervention. This audacious attack, echoing across continents, exposes the myth of Israeli invincibility. How far will Israel go into this aggression? Will Houthi strike exacerbates regional flames? With global powers on edge and potential regional escalation on the horizon, will current tensions be limited to the ordinary exchanges, or will it expand to a larger conflict? I'm Hani Saif, and this is Think Tank.
Our world is becoming unhinged.
Welcome back. The New York Times has reported that the Houthi-launched ballistic missiles struck near Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport, halting flights and exposing vulnerabilities in Israel's defense systems. The attack marked a breach of Israel's aerial security, prompting Netanyahu to vow retaliation against both the Houthis and Iran, whom he accused of orchestration. The American newspaper added that despite U.S.-supplied THAAD and Arrow systems, the Houthi success highlights shifting military dynamics, emboldened by solidarity with Hamas. The New York Times also highlights that domestically, Israeli critics lambasted the government's defense lapses. According to Al-Ahram Online, U.S. airstrikes pounded Sana'a following a Houthi missile strike near Tel Aviv's airport, escalating retaliation across Yemen. 14 wounded in Sana'a as Washington intensifies bombardment under Trump. Al-Ahram added that the Houthis' attack on Ben Gurion airport, despite Israeli defenses, exposed vulnerabilities and halting flights. Netanyahu vowed many bangs of retaliation, linking Tehran directly, while airlines fled Israeli airspace, amplifying economic and psychological pressure. Al-Ahram said this tit-for-tat underscore Yemen's war into a regional proxy battleground. With Gaza's toll soaring and Red Sea tensions simmering, the Houthis' defiance tests U.S.-Israel coordination, a volatile dance where each strike risks wider conflagration. A missile from Yemen strikes near Ben Gurion's airport, a bold move that escalates Mideast tensions. Israel vows retaliation, but internal strife and regional chaos complicate the path forward. A new front is opening. The world is watching.
A missile launched from war-torn Yemen lands near one of Israel's most critical infrastructures, Ben Gurion International Airport. The Houthi group claims responsibility, marking a dramatic escalation in regional tensions. But that is more than just an attack. Israel has vowed retaliation. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu stated that the operation against the Houthis is not a one-shot operation, but there will be back and forth, he added, noting that Israel is coordinating with the United States on this matter, signaling that Israel will not tolerate threats to its claimed national security, even if they come from over 1,500 kilometers away. Yet timing is everything. Internal pressures are mounting in Israel. Reports suggest pilot refusals and growing dissent within the military, complicating any potential large-scale operation against Yemen. Meanwhile, Yemen sinks deeper into chaos. In Yemen, political instability deepens after Yemeni Prime Minister's sudden resignation. With a power vacuum forming, the Houthis gain more room to operate with oversight. The international community watches closely. Global concern grows. The regional and international actors warn of destabilization. Washington faces mounting pressure to respond. But with recent casualties in Yemen, American involvement remains politically sensitive. This missile didn't just damage infrastructure, it cracked open a new front in the Middle East. The question now is whether this sparks wider conflict in the region or becomes a turning point for diplomacy.
Let's dissect the most recent updates concerning the situation in Yemen and the Yemeni missile attack on Israel. Is Israel opening a new front in the Middle East conflict? We're joined from Cairo by Dr. Nurhan al-Sheikh, the political science professor, and from Amsterdam, Mr. Abu Bakr Badib, the director of the European Center for Strategic Studies. Welcome to Think Tank. Dr. Sheikh, now how does the Houthis' direct strike on Tel Aviv's airport impact the ongoing regional tensions, and what does it really signal about the Houthis' seemingly undiminished military capabilities despite the US airstrikes?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me with you. This is not the first time for Houthis to attack Israel. But as you mentioned, after all the strikes of the United States and all what the administration mentioned that they succeeded to eliminate Houthis' power and to end by a way or another its danger, not only in the Red Sea, but generally. We are now seeing a new scene or a different scene from Trump administration mention that Houthis is still having enough power. They are intending to continue confronting Israel. As I mentioned, it is not the first strike against Israel, but maybe it is the most serious. And Israel, if we are packing in history, never having such a far distance strikes. This is the first time that not from within or even from a neighbor to be attacked. This is a new, I think, development, and it will really make Israel in a critical situation, and not only Israel, but I think also the United States as well. And it confirmed that Houthis is really a very important player in the region. And by a way or another, it is not the strikes or not military power that one will eliminate or stop their danger in the region.
Mr. Badib, now the US strikes on are intensifying under Trump. So how does Washington balance countering Houthi Israel hostilities while avoiding deeper entanglement in Yemen's conflict?
Respect to the US strikes against Houthis or its areas, U.S. still, despite achieved several objectives, and they think that the ballistic launchers that launch the strategic centers in Tel Aviv and Israel, but the nature of the intel is still limited due to the carelessness by the Western intelligence to the nature of the Houthis mobilization that would undermine the abilities of Houthis, particularly these missiles made by Iran, and the Iranian expert contribute to its direction. As President Trump said, announcing, citing that any missiles from the areas held by Yemen. There are Iranian missiles heading to the strategic positions in the region. There is a point that should be taken into consideration, and that the launching of Houthis is such missiles have the relations of the continued escalation ongoing in Gaza and the genocide against 2.3 million population and a relation to the Iranian-US negotiation. Iran is trying to pressure by the Houthis to realize that they are capable to affect the region. Particularly, the allies' maps in Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria has changed, and therefore Iran is a different ally away geographically of the conflict zone or the zones of disengagement in Iraq and Lebanon. And they found it is better for the Houthi to do so. Naturally, one of the loyalist arms of Iran that is trying to exploit several of international and regional powers.
Dr. Sheikh, from an Israeli perspective, how critical and what does it really say, the breach of Ben Gurion Airport's defenses, THAAD and the aero system, and could Netanyahu's vow of retaliation trigger a broader regional conflict despite the internal military dissent?
Actually, Israel in a real defensive critical challenge since October 7, 2023. Because it was the first time for Israel to be violated like that, to be not able to protect totally. And you know that Israel for a long time pretend that it is totally protected. It can defend itself against any attack from anywhere. Actually, since October 7, they are facing a critical defensive problematic situation. And with the Houthis attacks, I think that critical situation increased and became very serious because it's far distance, very advanced, not only plastic missiles, but you know that also drones, etc. Houthis drones reached Israel to reach Ben Gurion airport. Maybe it is not the first time, but it is the most serious one. Plus the challenge Houthis made when the warning planes not to go to Ben Gurion airport, and that it would be destructive for them if the doing so. I think that it's challenging from Houthis to Israel maybe deepen the serious situation Israel facing. I think we are already in a wide regional conflict. And in a moment, either to widen it more and more and escalating the conflict more and more, and nobody know to where that may lead us all as a region, or to contain. The alternative is to contain the conflict and to have some comprehensive settlement for what is going on, because you know that Houthis have some conditions if we make it like that, to calm Israel attacks against Syria, against Lebanon, against Palestine and Gaza in particular. So maybe we need in that moment a comprehensive settlement, but unfortunately, I think that Netanyahu is not ready enough to have steps, serious and positive steps toward that comprehensive settlement. I think for his own political reasons and personal reasons, that's it.
Mr. Badib, now could the Houthis' targeting of the Israeli infrastructure compel the European powers to lend more support to the US military campaign against the Houthis' movement in Yemen?
to
The estimations indicate that the missile that fell in Benghazi is the number 70 of the missiles being launched by literally of the supersonic missiles in the Israeli depths in a way or another. And it is the first one among of 70 that the Israeli defense never managed to intercept. In return, we'll see practically that the Houthi aren't practically to hit the infrastructure of Israel, as Israel is trying to take advantage of taking more control, more striking not only against Syria or Gaza, or to expand its domination in Gaza and to make the world to what they are doing of some we call is some sort of protectionism in the region, and trying to designate it that Iran is the evil, and therefore that will contribute to hit the regional stability in the region, and anyway won't achieve any goal of mitigate the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. What is Houthi is doing? Do not support the Palestinian cause, but to rearrange the chess panels of influence regionally and internationally, and Israel is the ultimate beneficiary by affirming its control and domination and the genocide in the region, and more of the bypassing the human rights, and unfortunately you find support in the Western America and the more military economic facilitation. So we are in need of in a real approachment to save the right of the Palestinian people, as all the regions in the country should contain and find a different approachment to end such a conflict. And the first one is to have a settlement of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Dr. Sheikh, with the regional escalation compromising the freedom of navigation at the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, with the growing public opposition to militarized entanglements in Yemen's war?
The Europeans trying to solve such problem, because most of the trade actually is going to Europe through Bab el-Mandeb. But unfortunately, Europeans at that moment are not strong enough to face such challenges. There are many disagreements among Europeans. More worth that there are many disagreements between Europeans and the United States. So the United States, although it initiated some kind of alliance or something like that against Houthis, Europeans as well also initiating a European alliance, military alliance against Houthis, but both of them up to the date they are not successful enough to contain Houthis. And that's why, because they are really strong. I mean, even their geography serve them by way or another. It is they are hiding in mountains. It is difficult to reach them. It is difficult also to get enough intelligence information about them. So I think many factors help and serve Houthis and make it difficult for Europeans as well as Americans to, by way or another, to eliminate their power. Plus the huge support for Houthis from Iran, technologically, economically, military. So all that I think make it difficult for Europeans. But anyway, they are not in a situation to be able to face such challenges. And I think it needs to be cooperate. Europe, United States, also as well as all regional power like Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, Emirates, etc. So I think it is very important, and maybe if United States succeeded to have some agreement with Iran, that also may help to settle the situation, plus calming what is going in Gaza. All that may help, but it is really complicated. So Europe alone cannot solve, cannot, from my point of view, face Houthis alone.
Mr. Badib, now, other than the maritime navigation, the airlines are avoiding Israeli airspace, and Gaza's humanitarian crisis is worsening. How might this crisis reshape global perceptions of Israel's security narrative and the U.S. foreign policy coherence?
The main balance factor is still what's going on in Gaza. If the Israeli stopped the military actions and the genocide, Iran wouldn't have the ability to mess around in a way or another. Israel as well is responsible of the chaos in the region, and even its future project won't lead to create any rapprochement to finding just solutions for the Palestinian cause. What is related to the Houthis, its power in the region, there are several approachments that can be tackled. Currently, the EU wouldn't be able to designate the Houthis militant as terrorist group. Without going into more details, several civil societies organizations supported Houthis. The question is, does Europe or America is capable to undermine the capabilities of Houthis? As in my estimation, the policy of stick and carrot, as they do not wish to eradicate the Houthis, but more pressure upon Iran and to try to gain more of negotiation points in the meantime to make the militia as a pressure element and bargain game in several areas. So in achieving the political goal, unless we have agreement and approachment between the regional and the international powers.
One final question, Dr. Sheikh. Now, the Houthi strike on Tel Aviv, it exposes cracks in Israel's deterrence doctrine. Do you think that this success of the recent missile attack emboldened the Houthis further, or, as Mr. Badib has mentioned, would actually add more points in the negotiation table and also have more of a bargain?
Maybe it helped Iran. We all know that the last round of negotiation between Iran and the United States was postponed, I think maybe this week or next week, but it may add some points to Iran, but not for all countries. I mean, it is not serving Gaza by all means, because now Netanyahu mentioned that he will go more and more in striking and in bombing Gaza. So I think it doesn't help. Such strikes doesn't help Gaza or Syria or Lebanon, but it may serve Iran and giving it really points or a more powerful position in negotiation toward the United States. Plus, I think it's really concerning the deterrence doctrine of Israel. It is already challenged since October 7, and with Houthis strikes, it make it worse and worse for Israel. So I think that Netanyahu should listen to his opposition, to people, Israeli people, and for logic and humanitarian ethics and stop such war, at least it will, at that time, there is no any support and any justification for Houthis to do so and to cooperate together to end such militia here and there.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Nurhan Sheikh, the political science professor, and Mr. Abu Bakr Bathib, the director of the European Center for Strategic Studies. Thank you both for your insights and this valuable discussion. Sana'a's missile strike shattered Tel Aviv's skies, exposed regional chaos and Israel's vulnerability. US strikes on Yemen escalate as Israel braces to retaliate against the Houthis and maybe even Iran. Will diplomatic efforts diffuse the rising tensions, or are we poised towards further conflict? Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode of Think Tank. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for watching.